decided to start up a channel.
It's good
Because
to
I want people to understand what's going on. So, how about yourself? Where you're from? Toronto?
Oh, yes, I live in Markham.
In Markham, okay.
I was born in Hong Kong. Yeah.
Ah, okay, very good. And approximately what year do you remember? You grew up in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Until you were how old?
20 something.
Ah, okay, very good. And
in those days, it was before the handover.
Ah, it's the British law still was applying.
Yes. And the transition wasn't very dramatic in those days. I mean,
no.
Before and after 97.
Right. It's changed so much. It's a shame to see what's happened now in Hong Kong. It's just a tragedy.
Yeah, but like they were suffering for a very long period of time. Like every day they send in 150 new immigrants to Hong Kong, and the Hong Kong government has no right to like select who comes.
Right.
And in this case,
didn't they do the same thing in Tibet? They flooded Tibet with Han Chinese and displaced all the native Tibetans, right?
Oh, I wasn't very familiar with this, but I think they do it like in every location.
Yeah, it's a regular type of thing that they're doing.
They try to like kind of dilute their culture.
Sure. Well, my name is Mike. I'm with the Free Speech Media.
Nice to meet you. Joseph.
Your name is?
Joseph.
Joseph. Okay, Joseph, tell me what your message is. I saw your sign, and I'm curious to hear a little bit about your background and why you became passionate about fighting communism.
Okay. In fact, like my signs are all about communism for some reason. I went to the Queen's Park in Toronto to protest. I think maybe I started in April or early May. It was the third or fourth week.
Yes.
Like after they start, and I hardly find out any information until I saw the location and time on Block 2, Toronto.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I made my first sign about Duck Ford. I made him in a pig, and the concept is about animal farm.
Yes.
Like because he say that like the protesters are yahoos, and I find it more like a communist strategy.
Well, that's the very common thing that they've done, is to denigrate the people and put them down, make them seem stupid or whatever. That's very common.
And this is how I kind of associate the whole thing into communism.
Yes.
And after a while, I had a chance to watch a video on YouTube, which was a speak by a famous researcher, or you call it conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
His name is called Jordan Maxwell.
Okay.
And in fact, earlier this year, he went to some kind of UFO conference, and the topic of his talk is about exposing the Illuminati.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit out there, secret society. But what he was trying to point out is that communism is not about communism in certain country, but it's about the world revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, try to.
Isn't it funny how the rest of the world followed the Chinese communist lockdown, and the whole world, it spread through the whole world. The Chinese communists were able to spread their panic and their lockdown authoritarian rule through the entire world.
Yes, but I don't want to just blame China, like for example, the World Economic Forum, they are all white people.
Oh, no, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. 100%.
So I think it's more about the ideology. And
yes.
What Jordan Maxwell pointed out is that like there is a cult, some kind of like sun worshipping cult called the Illuminati. Like they don't buy anything about like they are a group of people. They are from different races, so they don't see races and everything, but they have the same ideology. They try to slavery like human being.
Yes, collectivism.
Yeah.
At the root of it is collectivism.
Yeah, I think collectivism is the I would say tool to try to sacrifice a little bit of your like individuality for the greater good, which is the bullshit they're doing. Like think about the mask. Like the narrative is kind of stupid. Like the mask, the pores are very big and the viruses are very small. But when you wear the mask, you can reduce the virus from spreading. even though you cannot 100% protect yourself from infecting.
Well, it's funny that there's been 40 years of science where they've shown that masks are not effective for the general public for controlling the spread of virus, and all of a sudden, in some powerful people decided that everyone has to wear a mask. Yeah. The mask is not about preventing disease, is it? The mask is a symbol of the conformity. If they can make everyone wear the mask, then they have power and control.
Yes, and the narrative is like, like if you wear the mask, you protect others. So when everybody wears a mask, it's for the greater good. And they like push the narrative also to the vaccine. The vaccine, like they don't have like 100% efficacy or efficiency. But, if there are a lot of people who get vaccinated, that means you gain a herd immunity. Therefore, mass vaccination is also about it for the greater good. I mean, they always like push this kind of thing, and it's no good.
No. Now, let's talk about kind of scary things that are happening in Canada with rights and freedoms. These are unprecedented measures that have been taken. How has it affected you personally?
Personally, I was working in a small print company. Like after the shutdown, the business of my boss went down, so I was kind of laid off, and then I changed to part-time. And recently, I kind of like suspended from my job. Yeah. Because I talked to my like coworkers that like there's something wrong with the pandemic. And I also told them that I went to the protest. Yes. And when the second wave come, I find that a lot of them start to be getting like nervous. And so one day, my boss talked to me. He said that other people don't feel comfortable working with you at the same office. So from that time, I got suspended from my job.
You got into trouble at work because you expressed your opinions and you went to a protest.
Yes, actually, I kind of comply to wear a mask, but not all the time. But still, like in fact, they are not my co-workers, but my boss ran an office in another company. I see. And I have my own area of work. So I mean, like, we don't really like get close within like 2 meters, and I don't really like speak or cough.
No, of course, and there's really very little evidence that there's asymptomatic transmission of the disease, is there?
Yes, I read some of the studies like from early April, like in China, they collect some statistics, and they find that there is like almost like none of the so-called secondary transmission. Right. So anybody is asymptomatic, they doesn't really get to other people.
Right. So I mean, we're talking about a virus. It is deadly, but it's deadly for a very, very small group of the society, very old and fragile people who actually live past their own life expectancy, the average life expectancy. So they've actually had some extra years of life, and some strong flu like COVID comes along and takes them out, and then the whole world panics. It just seems like the whole world's gone insane.
Yeah, that's true. And when I read the website from WHO, I mean the World Health Organization, they said that like they name it COVID because they don't want to like try to associate with SARS, which is scary. But eventually, like SARS only scares the people in Asia, but COVID scares everybody in the world.
The whole world, right?
It's kind of ironic.
It is, and. Yeah, what else can we talk about? Tell me more about Hong Kong now. When was the last time you were there?
Actually, I visited my parents about like 2 years ago. Okay. Or last year, yeah, actually, 2 years ago, yeah. Okay. Like I don't know, like I mean, there are. Yeah, I haven't been to Hong Kong very often, and I found that like it's too crowded for me. Yeah. That's how I feel. Yeah. But I kind of follow the news in Hong Kong, especially after 2014. Right. There was an so-called the Yellow Umbrella Revolution or movement, and I started to pay attention to the freedom movement in Hong Kong.
Well, the freedom movement, I think, is a worldwide phenomenon. Everybody in the world wants to be free. Yeah. It seems to be on the decline right now.
But I'm not sure. Some of them, they may call themselves like color revolution. Maybe they are instigated. I am not sure. There are all kinds of narratives out there. But I know that like in Hong Kong, like you know, especially in the young group, they are having very difficult life. Like living is very expensive.
Yes.
So like, I mean, there are no houses in Hong Kong. They're always apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of apartments, they rent out their places by, separating a small flat into compartments. And they charge a few thousand Hong Kong dollars for, one single bed.
Tiny space.
Yeah.
So the cost of living is so unaffordable. They're having to leave Hong Kong to find a better standard of living somewhere else.
No, I mean, a lot of young people, they have to live there.
They're forced to, they have no choice.
Yeah, they have to rent a compartment,
Wow.
compartment over there. Yeah, and they don't have future. I mean, like, a lot of the red or Chinese capital came to Hong Kong, and it seems that the Chinese communists, they don't want to hire Hong Kong people. I mean, they hire them, like they are good workers, but they can't move up to the ladder.
Yeah, so they're being discriminated against.
Yes. And recently, even though like a lot of them are discriminated because of their political views.
Yes.
So they don't see any future, and I think this is why last year there was such a crazy movement or protest.
There was some violence and people loss of life as well.
Yes, this is how the media portray like violence, but I can see that a lot of the protesters, they have actions, but they are not violent, even though they have like some how do you call Molotov.
Well, but
they don't throw it to people. They just like try to slow down the police movement.
I certainly understand, but I mean, at the same time, if the government of the Chinese communists are violating the rights of the people and using violence against them, then don't the people of Hong Kong have a moral responsibility and a moral duty to use whatever means necessary to fight them back?
Yes, but Hong Kong people, they are very peaceful, to be honest, and they don't like violence, and they are not used to violence. And last year, I think a lot of them, like, they kind of have a breakthrough to be more, like, to involve in more action.
So
like before, like, even
the path for peace in Hong Kong is got to be through peaceful means, you believe?
Yes, like, after the June 4th, Tiananmen incident, Hong Kong people used to march. They march in a large number, over 1 million. Like, they get used to, the government don't give a damn.
No.
On the other hand, like last year, they tried to be more active, and they, for example, they even have some good ideas. For example, they just go to visit those shops or restaurants who supports the movement. Yeah, there are two colors. They name the yellow and blue. The blue is the pro system. The yellow is the pro freedom.
Yes.
So people try to have like some kind of movement to just we just shop at the yellow shops and stay away from the blue shop. And in fact, like the government was very agitated because of this. It's way better than just marching in millions. I mean, they just don't give a damn.
Now, I mean, there's a lot of hatred towards Donald Trump, but he was actually in support of the Hong Kong protesters.
Yes, Donald Trump is a very interesting character. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I just hope that like he is genuine, but I'm afraid that he can also be an actor, because like when you look at the election, I think it's some kind of drama. Why do they like choose Biden, who is Owen? I think he has a broken bone today.
It's the same. It's the same type of thing that happens in Canada. I mean, we've got the most incompetent leadership people. It's astounding to me. They could pick somebody off the street and they'd probably do a better job than most of the political leaders in Canada.
Unfortunately, when Trudeau like first elected, I vote for him because he's young, and like in those days, Harvard. Like he always follows Obama's
he was able to fool you.
Yeah, and like he was young, and it seems that he may want to do some changes. I never expected in such a way change.
Really? Now he seems to be taking a page out of the Communist Chinese Party playbook. I mean, many of the things that he's done is very similar.
Yeah, but I didn't like follow politics, but recently I knew that like Trudeau's dad and grandpa also was in the politics. When you have some kind of history to follow, they can easily be bright out.
Yes.
That's why I mean like this is not really it doesn't really surprise me that like he really followed the globalist agenda.
No,
and he was
but,
so
but
into your face when he talks about the Great Reset.
Well, I mean, the thing is that even before he was elected, they asked him what form of government he admired, and he said he admired the basic dictatorship of China.
Well, I saw the
and
clip,
so
but
people
it's okay.
thought it was not a serious remark, but he's actually following through and following the type of things that are happening in the Communist Chinese Party in Canada.
Yeah, but you know, I saw the clip when he spoke about it. I think he had a lot of like female fans in the venue. Actually, like, yeah.
And that's why he loved Castro and the murderous communist thugs in Cuba.
Yeah, but you know, nobody took him serious in those days. I guess he's just an acting teacher.
So somebody, what does that say about Canadian politics that somebody so unqualified and so inexperienced could become prime minister? It's a scary idea. It's a scary proposition, really.
This is true, but I think it also happens around the world. You know.
I think you're right, but it's still, I can't imagine putting that much power into the hands of someone who's so unqualified and so ignorant of history.
But you know, like when you take a look at our democracy or system, like we have the right to vote, but we don't really have the right to select. I mean, like.
So it's not a real democracy, is what you're saying, and I tend to agree with you because I think almost all of the leadership races on all the political parties is rigged. They're rigged. How could they possibly anybody in their right mind put someone like Biden on the ticket, who's feeble and senile and is about to die? Yeah,
this is what I think they plan to maybe like. Have someone to substitute him after they won the election.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if this is the woman Harris or somebody else. But he's a puppet, so I mean it doesn't matter.
It sure seems that way. Yeah. What else would you like to talk about? You can tell me anything you want.
I don't talk this much, and I'm surprised that I can talk this much today. But I hope that like more people can wake up. And I don't know like what I can do as an individual, but I try my best to inform other people. I start with my relatives and friends.
Well, you're doing something right now. You're talking to people, and this is going up on YouTube, and people will hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'll show you my website, and hopefully people can take a look. And I mean, like the website is not targeted to people who already know what's going on, but I hope to wake up those sheeple.
I know. We have a lot in Canada, don't we?
But I share with my friends and relatives. I think they didn't have positive feedback, or they just keep silence. I don't know what they think. Yeah, and I find that like sometimes you have to really get hurt before you can really like face the situation.
Right. It is. It's a very scary situation. We're at a very frightening time in history right now.
Yeah, but I think they plan it out very well. For example, just take a look at the SERP. I think it's kind of tricky. They give you a flat rate rather than a percentage of the of your income, and that's really evil. So like a lot of people, they work part-time or they have a low income. When they were receiving SERP, I would say they're happy. They don't want to go back.
No.
On the other hand, like people who have small business or they have a higher salary, they suffer. So it divides people.
Well, the people that rule this country are not stupid. They understand that there's a basic motivational triad. There's pleasure seeking, pain avoidance, and energy conservation. And what CERB does is it makes everybody fat, lazy, and stupid. They can conserve their energy. They don't have to work. They get free government money. And then they're dependent on it.
Yeah. People may be conscious in the beginning, but it's about like behavioral modification. Yeah. So after some time, people get used to it. I think like many people like find the mask wearing stupid in the beginning, but after a while, the pressure to conform is very high. Yeah, and after a while, even some people say that, I feel kind of comfortable, and maybe some of them they took pictures of themselves. It's kind of fashionable with a.
Oh no, that's virtue. That's virtue signaling. I mean, it's so clear that anybody who posts pictures online of themselves wearing a mask, there's something mentally wrong with them. There's some kind of a narcissistic, deluded you know, I don't even know how to describe it. Okay. But thank you so much. Give us their website right now.
Okay. Let me. So it's called the PT Research WordPress.com.
Okay, good.
You know, when the pandemic started, I never bought it because there were so many coincidences. You can see in 3 days.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, here.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's no question. There's a global coordination for this.
Yeah, when Sophie was in UK, there were only like 80 or 90 cases in the whole United Kingdom. And what's the chance for her to be getting infected?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people are saying this stuff was targeted.
Yes.
You know, it's the Chinese Communist Party reaching out to Justin Trudeau and giving his wife COVID and saying, you know, we can do what we want with you whenever we want, right? And they gave it to Trump too, right? But I mean, for most people that are not sick, it's not going to be a problem. It's like a normal cold or flu. You get over it.
No, I think she may be pretending, you know, just to make people aware that there is a danger out there.
Right.
And you know, like, it was my friend in Hong Kong who informed me that like Sophie Trudeau was infected, and he told me, okay, take care, be careful of the virus, you know.
Oh yeah.
Even though people from Hong Kong sense the danger because of her getting COVID.
Sure. Well,
So
I mean,
it
is a virus. It is killing people, but it's killed most of the people it's gonna kill.
But it's propaganda. They're just making it out.
Oh yeah, Trudeau's mentioned many times that you know you can't let a good crisis go to waste. It's a great time for the government to consolidate their power.
Yeah, sure.